Roseanne, first she gets in trouble for having the wrong political opinions, right? And so everybody was already a little bit on the fritz about like, I don't know, she likes a guy I don't like. And then she tweeted out something incoherent and crazy that had racist overtones, let's say.
What did she actually tweet? I haven't even seen
driven
the tweet.
by an Ambien rage, apparently.
The tweet, I think I got it from memory. It's Muslim Brotherhood plus Planet of the Apes equals VJ. And VJ is Valerie Jarrett, who was a staff member in Obama's White House. And she's black. And so now, obviously, a lot of people are zeroing in on the reference to Planet of the Apes. Comparing black people to apes is the racist thing.
But it's okay to, compare Muslims.
I'm not sure what the Muslim Brotherhood part of it is, but no one's talking about it. I don't even really know what it means.
Was it the whole accusation that Obama was Muslim?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I just don't know.
It seems like a pretty incoherent tweet, to be honest.
And if you look at her Twitter feed in general, it looks like a rambling, incoherent, crazy person.
But that's the thing I don't understand. Since, 88 or whatever she came on the scene, like, she's always been kind of known as, like, she's a wacko. She's, like, openly admitted to being multiple personalities.
And now she's going through menopause, so...
I think she's well past menopause, Frankie. She's 65.
Going through it.
This very minute.
No, I was right.
Middle life crisis.
She said that on a talk show or something. She's like, once you go through menopause, you just stop giving a crap.
She was going through menopause during season 2 of the first run.
So she got her show canceled, taken away. And
so I'm going to say this. I don't agree with it.
Right. You don't agree with taking the show away?
No, yeah. I don't agree with it either. I think if people stop watching the show and the show has awful ratings, then get rid of the show.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where you leave it up to market forces. Well, I think what's going on is ABC is owned by Disney. Disney is a family company, and they don't want things like that.
For sure, and I'm sure those ratings are a drop in the bucket in the overall picture, but still, nonetheless, doesn't it kind of give you the sense that, like, so we all make stupid mistakes at somewhere in our lives, so there is no chance to rectify anything.
Yeah, you don't get any second chance. That's it.
No, it's just this social justice and being politically correct and how to react, and I think everybody needs to be reactive to everything.
And everybody knows that's like part of life now. And oops, my kid just like fell, like, but she's fine. She's totally fine.
Babies are
a little dazed.
Babies are.
Let's fire her. But yeah, I mean, one thing I do want to say is like. I believe, so she said she was on Ambien, right? And Ambien came back with like this cute tweet where they're like, racism is not one of our side effects.
Can we just brush by the fact of like 10 years ago, all those stories like people like driving to the store not remembering on Ambien? And like, we're going to act like there actually isn't an effect. But who cares? Like, I do think what she did was stupid. And I think if you're lucky enough to get a second shot, you don't really, why don't you just stay away from Twitter altogether? That's
I don't know.
Better idea.
Well, she said it was 2 a.m. So Matt can relate. But I'm saying 2 a.m. on social media. You know, sometimes you get a little angry. But she also said it was she was drunk as well so she was drunk and on Ambien, and so people go, oh well, that means that when you're drunk and high, your true racism comes out. But she was saying, she was like, honestly, I didn't know that this person was black. I thought she was Jewish. And if you look at the person, it's not obvious, I don't think, that she could be very clearly, but like it's not. It's kind of like Halle Berry, you know.
You know, I feel like it's sparking all from. It's so polar now. Like the more and more I realize that you can't even get along with somebody who has a different view than you. You have to hate them.
Yes.
You have to discredit them in some way.
Yes.
About how their opinions aren't legitimate. And I think it's a really dangerous road we're going down.
Yep.
Yeah, I think what's happened is, like, it used to be that, like, if you had a disagreement with somebody, like, even a strong disagreement, chances are your value system was similar enough that you, like, it could be a somewhat productive disagreement. Somewhat. Like, you could say, like, we both agree that children shouldn't die. And then we could disagree about how to keep them alive. You know, and that's like, it could be like a productive disagreement. But I think now, like, our values are actually different. Like, we're actually incompatible. It makes me wonder, like, should there just be a secession? Should there just be, like, the coasts just
break it apart?
I don't know. Like, we clearly can't agree on anything.
The great divorce.
But you know, it's like, my first reaction when something like this happens is to go like, oh man, I really hate it when like a moment of bad judgment or bad speech turns quickly into like you're fired and you're done and you're screwed and we hate you and you got to
And the
apologize.
same thing permeates through like our lives. So
Yeah.
at work, you can't misstep anymore.
Right.
You'll be fired.
Right. Yeah. But then at the same time, if somebody said, well, what if she had said like Zig Heil, I now worship Hitler. Like if she said that and she meant it, like, do I think her show should be taken away? It's like, yeah, probably. I mean, or at least I could certainly understand the company taking the show away.
Yeah.
So there is probably a line. And so that's what brought us to, so there was this whole argument about Samantha Bee. Have you heard about this?
Using the word cunt.
Right. So now you might say, and I would probably agree, that like cunt is just sort of a colloquial insult. And,
She's a comedian.
right. And she's a comedian, kind of like the other one.
Yeah.
Kind of like Roseanne. Yeah.
That's the other weird line we're going down is comedians are being judged for what they say. This is the whole point of comedy is that you're not censored in any way. And
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I thought the most offensive thing that Samantha Bee did was, so for anybody who doesn't know, she called Ivanka Trump a cunt for tweeting a picture of like her and her kid. Because there's like a lot of like refugee children who are being separated from their families, according to Trump's immigration policy. And she just kind of says like, tell your father to change his immigration policy, you feckless cunt. And I'm like, well, that's not a joke. That's just you being angry at the camera.
But even if she,
but that's sort of the joke, right? Is being really like kind of
Like blunt
crude and yeah.
Even if she is being like that, though, it's her right to do that. You know?
Sure. And it's the company's right and all that good stuff. So she turned
Comedy's so subjective. So like,
yeah.
Some people could find that really funny.
Whose judgment is it to then say, look, well, this wasn't comedy anymore?
Well, she turned around, went on Twitter and apologized for it. So the question is, what's she apologizing for? She didn't come right out and say what it was.
Yeah.
She just said, that was repugnant of me. Well, what she's apologizing for, let's face it, is the idea that cunt would be a sexist slur against women. So it's about, she's apologizing for being sexist, or at least using a sexist term. So then, are we weighting sexism versus racism and going, well, if it's sexist, it's okay, but if it's racist, it's not? Or is it really about like, well, she's on the right side and you're on the wrong side?
Well, I think that we've gotten hypersensitive on racism lately.
Hypersensitive about everything.
Yeah, but
Everybody,
sexism too, though.
Sexism too is just a small step down.
I think it, with Me Too and with Time's Up and everything, it's right there.
Yeah, you're probably
everybody's
right.
struggling to feel slighted in some way. Everybody wants to feel like they're somehow being slighted against.
Marginalized,
Yeah.
And you're not even, I don't even think, like, I'm sure there'll be fans that watch this of just us talking about, this is kind of a concern of ours.
This is
and
the
they'll
funniest Toa we've ever done.
they'll probably think of us as being kind of, I don't know, like alt-right or something. So I don't know, man. So, but are you sad at all to lose a show that you were enjoying?
No, not really. I think the nostalgia of the old one is what I really love.
Yeah.
The new one, I think I might have been able to it had some hopes, but
Well, you can always go back to the old.